E ngā iwi, e ngā mana, e ngā waka, e ngā hau e wha, haere mai, haere mai, haere mai. Rau renga tira mā, tēnā koutou, ka nui ta haere kua haere mai nau koutou katoa. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā rā koutou katoa. Kia ora ana, malo lei, talofa lava, ni hao, namaste, bonjour, uh, guten tag, buenos dias. And hello and welcome to this. This is the Moments That Matter series brought to you by the Waitakere Ethnic Board. My name is Greg Ward. It's my absolute pleasure to be joining you here as we look forward towards 6 weeks of in-depth information about mindset, about wellness, resilience, about all the things that we need to do to continue to thrive, survive and thrive all the way through the challenges that we have with COVID. Certainly the last 7 months have been a particularly challenging time for a great many of us. And of course, one of the biggest aspects of that is to ensure that we have the community focus and that we have great support all around us, but sometimes it's difficult to access it. We don't even know where to start. So this series is designed to give ideas, techniques, strategies, some more insight into how we are traveling through this period of our life, this shared period of our life. It's quite a spectacular time, I have to say, both in a very positive sense, but also in quite a negative sense in some instances. So what are we really doing here? We are really sharing ideas. And ideas are the bedrock of our lives, of our community, of all of the facets of us moving forward. And ideas are a very, very powerful thing. So one of the things that I like to say about ideas is this. George Bernard Shaw, who is or was a phenomenal playwright and a philosopher in a lot of ways, he said this about ideas. If you have an apple and I have an apple, and you give me your apple and I give you my apple, we simply still only have one apple each. But if I have an idea and you have an idea, and I give you my idea and you give me your idea, we now have two ideas each. And if we turn and move to another person and do exactly the same thing, we share those ideas outwards, we end up growing exponentially this opportunity to share thoughts and concepts and things that work for us in our life and our community. And they may work for somebody else. And that is the power of connection. And we love connection. This is really what this is all about. Our intention, with the wonderful support of our partners here, Foundation North, Aotearoa Academy as well, we are going from here in Auckland all the way north to the top of Northland, and we want to really be able to support communities all along the way. So I'm really pleased to be here. I am an immigrant. I came to this country when I was a very small child, and I'll tell you more about that in a short moment. But this series is designed around myself as a host and also as a presenter, but I've got a range of guests who will be joining me over the course of 6 weeks. And it's not going to be a one-way street. I really want this to be a two-way street. Within the webinar, if you're seeing this on Zoom, I would ask you, please feel free to jump there into the chat and say hello and tell me where you're from. And where you are currently in the world. That would be a lovely thing to do. I can see we've got a number of participants online right now, so we can see that on the Zoom call. If you're watching this on any of the Facebook Live side of things, that might be a little more problematic for me to get to in the context where I am right now, but I will do my best in that situation as well. But right now, I'd like to tell you about what's coming up. So we've got 6 speakers who are going to be joining us here. My first guest is joining me on screen in a short moment, and that's Shailesh Bagwe. And he's a powerhouse, I've got to say. He's an incredibly community-minded individual. He's a business advisor. He's a tax agent. He's also the founder of NZWorldNews, which is a channel dedicated to bringing us accurate and positive stories here in our New Zealand situation. And I think it's a really beautiful and important thing as well. So once again, feel free to throw stuff in the chat if you're watching this on the Zoom. It'll be great to be able to see you there. So let us go and say hello to our guest right here, right now, today. So Shailesh, lovely to have you on board. How are you feeling today?
Likewise, Greg. Likewise, Greg Morena. How are you? How are you? I'm good. Thank you. It is a real pleasure for me to come on this platform, which is a great theme called Moments That Matter, and it aligns with me and my philosophy, as you rightly said, like with my academy and with my other media and with my other businesses that I own. It's all about moments and moments that matters. So I'm really thrilled and privileged for me to come on this platform and talk about it. So yeah, I am as excited as you are to start this series, but it's actually, as you rightly said, this is not just a series, it's about engaging between the community and everyone along with each other so that we can share ideas, we can share our support and thoughts, basically. So that's a good start for me to jump on this series. And thank you very much for inviting me as your first guest of honor.
Oh, look,
it's a privilege to be here.
Absolute pleasure. Yeah. Well, just for our audience, Shailesh was instrumental in putting this together as well. I mean, this has been a wonderful opportunity. And I think that's something that you do, Shailesh, is you actually look around and you see opportunities. And I think that's a really valuable thing from a business advisory standpoint. One of the things that I've noticed over the years is that people who are accountants aren't necessarily that focused on the wonderful world of opportunity, right? Because it's about risk management, not necessarily about looking around and finding risks.
Yeah.
And I love your focus.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. So, yeah, should I want you to know about me a little bit? I can talk about it.
Let's just have a little chat about who you are. Okay, so let's say, well, firstly, let's start right from the beginning. Where were you born?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, I come from India, Mumbai, and which is now Mumbai, but it used to be Bombay. So I'm still used to Bombay, saying Bombay. But yeah, Mumbai is the real name now. So we have to call Mumbai. So I come from Mumbai, India, and I've been here now about 20 odd years plus. So in New Zealand, when I came, it was quite different we didn't have many Indians as such, but now we have got quite a bit of Indians. So I think, if my memory serves me, it was only about 10,000 people roughly around that time in 20 years ago, but now it's about more, 250,000 plus. So it's quite diverse now, and ethnic group also has diverse than what it was before. So my background, I'm an accountant. As a academic, if you call me that I am academic wise, I am an accountant by commerce graduate, law graduate. Then I also did my financial management for business advisory services and helping people grow their businesses and secure their finances. So that is one of my major focus, how to safeguard and how to safety wise in terms of finances. So that's me. But other than that, like law, commerce, financial management really is only academic. It's the practical that I do is more important for me. Other than this is I also, as you rightly said, I'm a community person. So I like to get involved in any community activities, like to create events, like to initiate, do things that matters to people, that matters to all humans, and doesn't have to be just one particular or another focused. It is all for about everyone. So that's me in terms of my community work. So I do hold some of the key kind of areas that are liking for me in terms of my community give back. So that's why based on that, I started my academy, which is a charitable trust, Autorova Academy, where I provide Vedic mats, which I brought from India, an additional tool of learning mats for the kids And luckily my schools over here, some of the schools already have accepted it and really going very well. So at least people have got an alternative. And as we always say, we should have options, we should have alternatives for anything and everything that we do, because we want to thrive, we want to grow. So we
I
have to
agree.
look for opportunities.
I agree completely. And I think that it's a really wonderful opportunity to provide an element of cross-culturalization. That's one of
Absolutely.
my biggest focus areas within the work that I do, is the idea that we currently are essentially siloed. You know, each
Mm,
of our communities and each of our cultures are siloed. But I was
yeah.
given this phrase by David Morgan, who's the chief pilot for Air New Zealand. And he says, I
Mhm.
don't call them silos. He says, I call them cylinders of excellence.
Well,
It's,
that's a good way of looking at it. Absolutely. Perfect.
and the
Mm,
truth is that. So we tend to provide ourselves with barriers between our
yeah.
cultures. And I really want to see those barriers being pushed away, to be slowly and gently broken down, so that we can actually communicate, that we can
Yeah.
understand one another. And this is such a wonderful opportunity to be able to do
Mm,
this as a series, to be able to
yeah.
share some of the experiences that we have with the range of speakers that we have. And we've got some phenomenal speakers coming in, and uh, almost every single one of our presenters is an immigrant in their own right. And the first generation immigrant coming to this country, having to restart. And I'm really fascinated by that, because I've got my own immigrant story as well, as I'm sure that you
Right.
have. And I'd
Yeah.
love to know what was the catalyst? What was the catalyst for you to come here to New Zealand?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. I do like nature. I'm very close to nature, kind of say, you can say I'm very much into nature. So nature means all the beauty that we see around us, other than, so humans are a beautiful creation of the nature. And just like the natural other living beings like plants and trees and all of that, they are all beautiful to walk around and go around and see around. So just like that, I see that humans are all comes into different diverse things, but they are all much to cherish and support and come together and work together. That's, I love that kind of. So nature was one of the things, and New Zealand has got some beautiful sceneries or landscapes that that was attracted me. And it's a funny story. I was actually in Dubai at that time when one of my American friend who suggested me to come to New Zealand, and I didn't knew anything about New Zealand. I didn't even know there is a country called New Zealand exists, to be honest. And this is my real experience, which I'm sharing with you, is I have got no clue whatsoever. And this guy tells me, jump to New Zealand and go and draw your pictures and paints and landscaping. And I said, what? Where? What is that? And then he shows me on the website. And then he tells me that this is what it is. And you love drawing and painting. So why don't you go and do that over there? And I was really thrilled and attracted. So I didn't knew how to apply and what to apply. And that time it was quite luckily, the system was quite different for immigration. So we had a point system at that time. And he said, no, no, look, if your points are there, you might get, you don't have to travel there to get a job or anything. And I said, really? And so I applied at that time. The position was as per the point system. And sitting in Dubai, I got my residency. So I didn't have to come to New Zealand to get a residency. That's how amazing it was. And that's how beautiful it was. But I had no clue economy wise what New Zealand is and all that, and whether we get a job or not, and what is welfare state system. No clue
Mm.
whatsoever. I just thought it is like, okay, I had to find a job, I had to do, if I don't get, then I have to come back. That's what I always was thinking. I didn't knew what residency means. I didn't knew what state welfare country means at that point. So after coming here, I think I got straight, I was very much into, because we are used to, as an Indian culture and as our tradition, we are used to do everything on our own and get a job and not like depend on anyone. That is what independency has been taught to us as a family. The family support as a joint family, but individually everybody has to go and work, right? So when I came here, I just had to find work. And so it was a experience that in those days, in spite of my 15 odd year experience in Dubai and India and everywhere, Singapore, I was told that you have got too much experience and you are not fit. And I said, but I got the residency, but I don't have a job. And it was really, I mean, when I look back now, it is still exist, some of the things, but I think after COVID-19, things have changed and will change for good. Because it's not about the experience that you only need, your qualification, your experience, and you are brought into this country thinking that you will get a job easily.
Yep.
But no, I had my struggles, but I think I didn't took it as a struggle because I was taught to find a job yourself. Nobody is going to give you. I just literally walked into streets of Queen Street and all offices, straight away jumping and barging in the offices to find a work. And luckily, being in my accounting profession, I got the job in an accountant's firm. At that time, it was April when I came here. So it was like March year ending had happened and they were looking for some interns or volunteers and small, not volunteers, but like some startup accountants to work. And during that time, so I was lucky enough, but it was I would say it was not lucky enough. It was basically, I would say that I had that intention of going and finding work for myself, where I'm knocking the door and not just rejections of CV, rejection letters, more than 100 within 10 days was good enough lesson for me to understand that I'm not going to just write CVs and send to companies and wait for rejection letter. I have to do something. I have to get out, knock the door, and be not shy about anything. And I was never shy as such, but I was,
I'm going to jump on that for a moment, because that's a really critical part of an immigrant's journey, isn't it? It's that tenacity, because you're turning up into a country where you have limited connections, limited opportunity, and the only thing you have to go on is your own level of confidence, your own belief in your own abilities, and your mindset. And I think, regardless of the technical knowledge and the skills that we have, or the training that we have, it's really here, isn't it? This is where the process has to happen. So how did you find that? How did you find that mentally?
It's the mindset. Yeah, it's the mindset mentally. It's the mindset that people have. And I believe I must not believe, but I'm a seeker. I don't believe in things and do things. I like to seek. I like to be curious about it. Even if I don't know, I say I don't know. And that's one of my, actually, you can call it, that's one of my strengths. But people don't like to say I don't know. They just want to say that I know it and I know partly. But if I don't know, I don't know. And it gives me an immense possibility to know many things if I say I don't know. And that's one of the things which I was carrying with me as an independent mindset, that I don't have to know everything and I don't know anything about this country. So why should I say I know? So why can't I learn more about it by saying I don't know, so that I can actually know what it is, rather than me assuming and preempting things. It was good for me to just be what I am, be who I am, and just say honestly that I don't know. And so moments, as this is more aligning to me, moments that matters is because I always consider myself, and one of my friend, she told me, like, when I say, you know, these are my leftover moments, and she says, no, this is the beginning of the moments. And I say, either way, look at it, whether you look at it as the beginning of this moment or in the leftover moment, it is still your only moment that matters. It is only moment that matters, that you can make it for yourself and for others. And so that's why it aligns with me. This moment that matters is absolutely spot on.
Well, one of the things that goes off the back of that, Shailesh, is one of the phrases that I use and I've coined for this is this: the past is gone. You cannot change it. The future is uncertain. You cannot rely on it. All we have is the present moment. So live now. live in this
Absolutely.
moment, right? That's all we have.
Yeah.
That's not to say that we don't plan for the future and that we don't
No.
learn from the past. But if we can only affect this, then
Yeah.
that's where our focus needs to be. And we can solve a lot of our challenges by simply bringing our
100%.
focus down into this present moment right now.
100% agree with that. So yeah, those, I think people's mindset, and if you look at my starting journey when I came here, and when people talk about COVID-19, this journey that people are experiencing, it's nothing different. Whether you call it beginning or whether you call it leftover moments, because people say, oh, nothing is going to happen now after COVID-19. I'm going to be not doing anything. I'm going to die. I'm going to do this. I won't be able to do anything. All those uncertainties and are exactly same when you start your journey, or when you start a job, or when you start to shift a country from one country to another country. Those thoughts are always there with you. And so it's no different for me now, in that regard, because it's the mindset that you have. If you consider this as your moments and the best moments, and you want to do something about these moments, then you just have to do it. That's it. That's what I would say. But yeah, coming back to those, if you are asking me about those experiences and the challenges at the start when I came, and now during the COVID-19,
Yeah.
the challenges are, for me, the most important aspect that I uncovered myself, and for everyone probably they might resonate or relate to it, is I was never having a problem of working from home, because I always work from home. Being in my accounting and business advisory services, most of the time I work from home. So for me, it was no different. But when the COVID-19 hit and when everybody was asked to stay home, this is where the challenges begin for me. And those were the simple challenges. The freeing of your mind was freezed, I call it. I call it the F3F, like the fear, and then all of those finances, fear. These were the thoughts that were coming. And not only that, but basically simple things like, okay, not feeling to wake up because there is no one to, all around me, surrounded me, they are all in the same boat. They are also home, locked down, kind of. So what am I going to do, waking up early or doing this faster? There is no point. So these were the challenges which I uncovered that I have to pass through. I cannot just say that, okay, the world is stopped, so I will also stop. The surrounding is not happening anything, so I will also have to just be doing nothing, that kind of thing. So that was a big challenge for me, like even waking up and early, which I used to, or my routines, you can call it. Everybody's routines were quite disturbed because of the mindset. And it again comes back to the mindset. It's not comes back. So, but I quickly realized and noticed that no, this is not what I want. This is like I am following others. I have to follow what I have been doing. So if I've been waking up and if I've been doing this on a routine day, then I have to keep doing this and not wait and let the world, not wait for the world to change. Let me change myself, which means let me accept the realities. And that's the good thing about my mindset, is I change my mindset quite quickly in terms of understanding the realities and uncovering my own self. So, and that everybody should uncover themselves, because if they don't push themselves hard, nobody is going to push them. And if they expect somebody will come and push them, then that's not going to happen. So, because everybody has their own challenges of pushing themselves. So pushing ourselves is the only way if you change your mindset. That's what I think. It's a good old saying. Even Mahatma Gandhi said, like, if you want to if you want to see the change, you have to be the change. You can't change the world, but you change yourself and the world will change automatically. because you are looking at a different way.
You're dead right. I mean, I think there's the elements of what we're talking about is extrinsic and intrinsic motivation, right? So we don't have somebody outside of us trying to motivate us. It's us internally needing to find the way that works for us in terms of motivating ourselves. And it's not about constantly telling yourself, no, you're going to be good. You're going to be good. It's going to be great. That's part of it. But it really is about having the confidence in your own abilities, being able to kick away things like imposter syndrome, that really do hold us back. Procrastination is a really big thing, particularly when we become fatigued or if we are have a number of challenges or problems that we've got to be solving, and they're taking up a lot of brain space. And so we tend to, and there's fear as well, right? Fear of the unknown, fear of success, fear of failure, all those different elements can stop us.
Absolutely. Fear of success, fear of failure, finances, that what will happen to my finances. And people are so much bogged down because they think if we don't have finance, we are not going to be happy. If we don't have finance, we are going to be really always in the dark. That's what they think. Finances has been given so much importance in the current situation that if you look at it, like they have lost the human touch.
Yes.
But they want the money in the bank, but they don't want people around them or surrounded by them. It's so funny that we have come to that stage where material things has been given the top priority rather than the people. And simple things like, going with a friend or going with your colleague and having a coffee gives you more joy than just putting money into your bank and say, I have got money, and telling everybody about it. It's not going to make any happiness. But that's what their mindset is. So it's quite funny
on that as well, Shailesh. I think one of the phrases for me is whenever I find myself financially constrained, and let's face it, we all do from time to time.
We all do.
Particularly, so I'm self-employed. I've been self-employed for the last 20 years, but there's always ebb and flow. So sometimes it's tight, sometimes we're flush with resources. But I always come back to this one thing. I always say to myself, I'm not sitting in the gutter with no shoes on. We can put our challenges into context. We have Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I've got shelter, I've got food, I have got security. So all those things. And let's face it, we are better here in New Zealand. My life is better than probably 100%. 70, 80% of the world. We're so fortunate to be here. And as an immigrant, I thank my parents immensely for their foresight in coming to this country and bringing 3 children with them on a journey of the unknown. Because once you arrive, there's no turning back. There's no opportunities, right?
100% agree, Greg, 100%. And that's why I call my 3F, which people say, that's not 3F, means not those 3F, but these are 3 real F, which is fame, which people are looking for fame. People are always fear of having failure and failure. So failure is a fear is a fear, and fame also is a fear, whether I will get fame or not, They 3 align with these 3 Fs, which I call it. And it's important to understand that during this time, you don't look at these 3 F. You don't look at fame. You don't look at failure. You don't look at fear. What you look at is more opportunities, more possibilities, more initiatives to do different things, and more, because as I said, like I call myself, I am also like you, Greg, being self-employed for many years and more than 20, 25 years now. And I always felt that being a self-employed comes all challenges. However, there is no such thing as there is no challenges. And challenges are nothing but your moving forward experiences that you would like to take those experiences and keep moving forward. So people get fear and failure and fame, and they want all this to do that along with them. But rather than looking at the brighter side, like, okay, I want opportunity. Where do I get? Who do I connect? what do I do if I want to do different things and new things? Because these are my leftover moments. I am not able to do this again. If a thought comes to me to do something, I just like to keep doing it rather than, making it. So yeah, being curious. And I think pandemic has shown us a lot of curiosity. If you look at it, everybody is trying to understand the realities, uncover the curious about many things during the pandemic things, curious about many things that are existing that they were not aware of it, many things that were complacent and they didn't knew why it is like this and why it is not like that. So now they are thinking from the other point of view, like why it is like this, why it is not other way. And this is a good experience for every single person, no matter where they come from, which experience they have got and which background they got. One thing is sure, that now they are looking at the other side of the coin, which they were only looking at one side of the coin, which was showed to them, told them, whether with their family or by traditions it came along, but they were only looking. But now they are using their own power to look at other avenues. Also, they have uncovered many, I have seen that also we have, myself, I have uncovered so many things that I could be doing rather than not doing. And so I would like to keep pursuing those new things rather than waiting for the old things to happen or come back. The old things, as you rightly said before, once it's gone, past is gone, it's gone. Future is uncertain. We don't want to look at it. This is my moment. Let's make this moment a better one for us and for everyone. So I think this is where my challenges were all the time, that I have to do this. My challenges was simple things that I was able to do, was thinking with my friends, surroundings and all that, neighbors and all that, businesses, clients and all that I used to go and meet or personally. All of a sudden, it was like a standstill. And as I said, like I'm more of a people's social person. So I like to be in the people, with the people rather than not with the people. So it becomes very hard for those kind of things. So yeah, challenge. And but when I look at challenges of myself and you ask me my challenges, and everybody should ask themselves one question, I feel, in my view, is if I am facing these challenges or these issues or these concerns, look at other people also. They are also facing something else, yet they are there, yet they are surviving. So why can't you be survived? And here I would like to quote, if you allow me to just talk about one of the greatest things in the last 3 years that we have seen. So much challenges the country has faced, so much challenges the nation has faced, whether it was the Christchurch attack, whether it was the deadly volcano eruption, whether it was the pandemic, whether it was the economy downturn of our nation, and whether it was the lifestyle of all our people has changed drastically, and we are adapting. But look at one thing common in this is our leader, and I don't want to just say it because I want to say it, but I look at every single leader in our country, in our nation, and say how they must be doing. So if our Prime Minister, for example, Jacinda Ardern, when she has gone through all this, and she is responsible to make it happen better for everyone. So challenges that she must have gone through, and also a baby with a baby at the start when she came in, all these things, and yet she was resilient, and yet she was showing everyone that it can be done. And so people responded to it. And I think that was the best part of the leadership I have seen. But I think we all have leaders in us. We all have that leadership qualities.
Yes.
It is a matter of uncovering ourselves. If they can do it, and if you look at them and they can do it, then you can also do it, because they are no different to you. And unfortunate it is that we don't empower ourselves. I say it. And so during this pandemic, I think my challenges, my real experiences, I am keeping every single moment empowering myself, my moments to be empowered. And that's why I am absolutely um, on par with your title, and the theme that you chose is moments that matters. So it's absolutely fantastic to see those things are happening here now. And this is also giving an opportunity for everyone to actually speak up their mind and start the dialogue now. If not now, then when? You know, that time never comes. Time just goes, as you said, and future is uncertain. You don't have to worry about the future. You just worry about this moment. So,
Well, I'm going to take that
so
moment there to actually say to our audience out there, if you are joining us here on Zoom, feel free to throw some questions or comments into the chat or into the Q&A. Chat's probably the best way to do that, and then I can access that there. If you are currently watching this on the live stream on Facebook, on either my site or the Waitakere Ethnic Board site, that's maybe a little more challenging to respond to comments on that, but feel free to add comments there as well. I do what I can here in this process. But we're talking about moments that matter. And certainly this last 7 months through the COVID process that we've had in New Zealand, 8 months coming up now, it has been very challenging, particularly with the multiple levels of lockdown, with the differing levels around New Zealand, particularly with the Auckland sector, and different industry sectors have been affected quite differently depending on where you are. Hospitality, for example, or events have been severely limited. So that's been a very big challenge across those spaces as well. What I would like to do, Shailesh, I would like you to stay with us, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about some of the experiences I've had and hopefully be able to share some of the techniques and strategies that have helped me over the course of this period as well. So I'm loving chatting with you here this morning, and stay on the line. Don't run anywhere. and we will see you very shortly. If you want to if you can mute yourself at your end, that will probably be a valuable thing there. And we will see you. Don't hang up, whatever you do. And we'll see you in just a short moment as well. So Shailesh Bagwe there, and telling us about his particular journey, his immigrant story, some of the mindset processes that he uses to maintain his way through business and his life as well. And that's one of those really big, important things, isn't it? Is that we all learn things from our lives, and whether we take a short time to learn these things or it takes a lot longer, it depends on how much focus we put on ourselves and how much information we think is valuable to our own story. So what I'd like to share with you is a little bit about me, a little bit about my story in this Moments That Matter. So I'll tell you a little bit about my backstory. So I arrived into New Zealand in 1972, which seems to be a significantly long period of time ago. And this here is my family. This is my parents, Muriel and David Ward, my brother Nigel and my sister Linda. I'm the little guy who is sitting there on his mother's lap, looking out to the side of the frame, already looking for further opportunities across the world. And we came to New Zealand for the princely sum of £20. We were the final flight of the £20 POM, what was called then the £20 POM scheme, traveling from the north of England all the way through to New Zealand, which took 3 days to arrive in. So a 3-day journey in those days on a DC-8 was pretty challenging, but with a family on board as well. As you all know, as you all have gone through these experiences and the processes of traveling from some other country, wherever you were originally residing, to come to New Zealand, a land of huge hope, of huge possibilities. And having traveled extensively across my life, my first journey back to England was an eye-opener to see where my parents had grown up, the environment that they had, the economy that they had, and the decision that they'd made, which was a momentous decision to come all the way to New Zealand with a family in tow to start a new life was huge. And of course, once they were here, they had to work. But I think this is an integral part of what it is to be a migrant to this country, is that you have to make it, right? There's no second chance. You're here, you're going to make it. So we tend to work with greater tenacity, with a greater sense of a work ethic, because that's just the nature of who we are as immigrants. And I think that stands us in incredibly good stead, not only here in New Zealand, but also around the world as well. So what I wanted to share with you is some of the things that worked for me. I couldn't have done this in the UK. I doubt whether I would have had the opportunities. I've worked in film, I've worked in television and on the stage. I've trained as an actor, as a musician, as an entertainer. I've ended up working in multiple day conferences and events all over the world. I've learned languages. I've met all sorts of different people, all because we came here to New Zealand. The opportunities are absolutely myriad, and certainly cannot wait to see what the future may bring. This has been a tough year. This has been, without a doubt, possibly one of the hardest years for me personally, from a personal standpoint and also a business standpoint. And I think that's something that we all can share in. When I initially put the webinar up, I put a question in that webinar and I asked people, what has been the most challenging thing for you around the COVID-19 pandemic? And the answers that have come in have been really indicative of what people have been going through. And I'm going to share some of these with you here. So, worried for our future as a country, keeping families safe while out working as an essential worker during lockdown level 4, hearing uncertainties of migrants. And this is a really powerful thing, right? So especially when you have limited connections and limited community and limited strong relationships in place. Yes, without a doubt, we are going to experience those challenges. And it is a process of learning more about ourselves as well to be able to mitigate against those challenges there. Doing more work online, maintaining a high level of trust that people provide 100% of efforts while working from a home setting. And that is an interesting thing to know, because there's a level of control that goes with that. Like when we're worried for our staff, we're worried for our workers, we're worried for our colleagues that they aren't going to do the work that we're hoping that they will do. Interestingly, there's a wide variety of responses to that. Some people thrive in this home environment, and some people just don't. It's just the nature of it. You know, we need the community and the connection, the people around us. We need, as I mentioned before, extrinsic or intrinsic motivation. So for those people who find it difficult in this setting, having that community feel around them is a really big part of it. So how do we mitigate that? And some of these challenges are incumbent on us reaching out, actually taking the time, combating the fear that can come in when we're actually wanting to make out a network. Because not everybody has the same personality type. We don't always have the luxury of being able to just reach out and grab people and talk to people and in a confident way. And especially if there's some element of cross-culturalization as well, there's some challenges within that. We don't know where we fit within our environments, and so there's some challenges there too. People talking about the isolation, talking about the lack of freedom that we have, cancelling some significant plans that we've had for the future. And I certainly have done that as well with my family. One of the more tragic elements here is losing family members and being unable to be with them and to be able to support in these times. And I'm talking to you about these because I want to share the experiences that our community here is telling me and it is allowing me to share with all of our viewers here. And I think that's a really very powerful thing. When you're creating high-performing teams, one of the things about creating a high-performing team is going through a level of shared adversity. And I think the challenges we've had over the course of this year have created a very strong sense, or a stronger sense, of community in some respects. And the fact that we've all gone through them in our own personal way, but in a general sense, we're all going through these challenges, has created a playing field that gives us this opportunity to connect deeper, better with more truth in it. And that's a really powerful part of what we do as humans. To understand other people, you really do need to understand yourself. And one of the keys to that is how we react to opportunities that are around us. Because although we have a significant amount of challenges that have hit us over the course of this COVID period, it has also come on the obverse with opportunity. And opportunity is a very, very powerful thing. What I've found as I've studied people, and I'm a fervent student of human behavior and watching how groups work, and I've noticed that there's roughly four ways of dealing with opportunity. The first of these is what I call this unconscious inaction. And unconscious inaction is basically a sense of you don't even know the opportunity exists. You can't see an opportunity because you are focusing deeply on the challenges that you have rather than the external, the opportunity that's coming in. And this is not the same for everybody as well, because we don't all have the same social challenges. We don't have the same financial challenges. It's very hard to focus on yourself when you're worried about where your security comes from. And I mentioned with Shailesh, we were talking about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So we need food, we need shelter, we need security. And if those are met, then we can start to look at the higher levels of self-actualization, like actually being and becoming more than we actually are in the moment. So if we're in this state of unconscious inaction, we can't see opportunity, and as a consequence, we can't react to it. And also, this is in this state, it's very easy to look around and say, oh, everybody's got more opportunity than me. Everyone's doing better than me. And it's always the grass is greener on the other side of the fence. This is a challenging place to be in. But what I can say is that you can move from this state, but it requires you to pause, to step back and actually do some introspection and be able to look at yourself. And hopefully you have got all of the other factors looked after, which is your food, your security, your shelter, and your sense of community that you have in place. The next of these is conscious inaction. And this is where we can see opportunities, but we're just not ready to take advantage of them. Or we might be in a fear state, which means that we're unable to take advantage of the opportunity that comes up. And we might see like the opportunity of working from home, right? For some, it's been forced upon them. For others, they've just embraced this. We've all gone about this in a different way. And so this, when you are consciously inactive, when it comes to opportunities, then it means you're actually pushing away the opportunities that are coming towards you and not taking advantage of them. This again is an opportunity for be able to move out of this state, but it takes again a moment to be able to stop, reflect, look at yourself. And what I'm going to allude to over the course of these is it's all about the moment. It's all about this moment right now, this shared moment we're experiencing here together. In fact, we're never going to experience this moment ever again in the same way, the same shape. That's why it's called the present, right? This is our present. And so what we choose to do with this moment has a significant bearing on every single thing that we do from this moment forward. And the way that we can access this moment is by stopping and listening with every single fiber of our being, listening for the beat of the world, listening for the ebb and flow of the world around us, the ebb and these conversations that are happening. We listen for this. And it's when we're in that state that we can see the opportunities arrive. The next of these phases is conscious action. So that's where we're actually seeing the opportunities here. We're able to act on them. We're able to react to them, but we're still having to force ourselves to do it. It may not come naturally. And that's normal, very normal kind of process, because it's all about growth. We're all about growing. And the fourth of these states is what I call transformative action. This is where we have got to the stage where we're not even worried about our responses anymore. We're able to see opportunities. We're able to react to them. So these four states, I would like you to think about where you are in these four states currently. Where are you situated? I don't need to know this. I don't want to know this. This is for you. I want you to understand where it is that you're currently sitting in those four states of action. So have a think about it. Unconscious inaction, conscious inaction, conscious action, or transformative action. Have a think about that. Know where you are. And the second question I'll ask you around that is, are you where you need to be? One of the things that we often say is what you can measure, you can manage. And so by doing a quick check, where do I fit? How comfortable am I about taking on opportunity? How comfortable am I in a position ready to move, to change, to morph, to move forward? With all of the challenges that we've experienced here through COVID, can we move forward? So that's all I need to know about that. Do you know where you are? And are you where you need to be? Think about those things and see if you can apply them to the situation that you find yourself in. So I want to touch a little bit now on some resilience strategies here, because these are quite powerful things for us, particularly when we find ourselves in stressful situations. And we have definitely found ourselves in stressful situations over the course of this year. And again, I'll invite you, if you are currently watching on Zoom, feel free to throw a comment there into the chat. It's always nice to know that you're still there and somebody's still out in the world. So have a look there. And we'll talk a little bit more about these as resilience strategies. And the first of these, it's a no-brainer really. It's moderate or avoid alcohol. It's a critical thing. So I always say this, that alcohol is not a performance enhancer. But it also has some challenges in terms of being a depressant, and it really doesn't work well when you pair that up with stressful situations. Alcohol is also a killer of sleep. It will really impact on the quality of your sleep. So it's a very valuable thing to not actually use that if you can at all. Engage in an exercise routine. And this is something that I do personally, and I make sure that I'm doing this at least 30 minutes of exercise, at least 3 days a week, and make sure that in that 30 minutes that I'm actually getting myself up, getting quite hot and sweaty within that process, and making sure that the heart rate gets elevated as well. Engaging in an exercise routine does a few different things. One of these is that we're setting goals. So each of the time, I set my alarm at 5:15 in the morning, I get up and I go to the gym if I'm heading to the gym. It's sometimes very difficult for me to do that. I have a fairly challenging mental health history, and I'll be sharing that in more depth as we carry on through this series. But one of the things for me is that I'll wake up and I don't want to get up. I don't want to move. And I think that's probably fairly normal for everybody. But what I do is I trick myself into getting up by saying things like, all you've got to do is open your eyes. Just open your eyes, just one thing, one tiny thing. That's all you got to do, open your eyes. And so I do. And then once I've opened my eyes, I say, well, seeing as your eyes are open, why don't you slip your foot off the bed? And so eventually I do. And I keep on doing this tiny incremental goals. So micro goals until I'm standing, I'm dressed, I'm ready, and I go out the door and I hit the gym and I set a goal for myself on what I'm doing from an exercise standpoint, and I finish it. And each time I'm doing this, I'm creating a goal and I'm achieving it. Tiny ones, but each of them build up, build up, build up. So having this, not only is it the endorphin rush you get from exercise, but it's also the fact that you're creating the goals, which makes a really big thing too. Maintaining a nutritional balance, right? Fast food, try to avoid that at all costs. Try and have a balance, good greens, vegetables, 5+ a day in terms of vegetables and fruits, good proteins, good carbohydrates. It can be challenging, but you can achieve this. You don't have to have a lot of money to be able to eat well. And in fact, if you are spending a lot of money on takeaways, it is such a false economy for the amount of time and effort because of what you can purchase from a takeaway standpoint and from actually purchasing fresh food and manufacturing it yourself. So maintain a nutritional balance. It will pay you dividends. You may need nutritional supplements as well, but that's something you need to talk to your health provider about as well. Talking about this, sleep, aim for 8 hours sleep a night if you can get that as an adult. It is an incredibly valuable thing to make sure that you are constantly being empowered with sleep. And my final little point here is this, to take time to focus on gratitude. Really, really important. One of the keys here is that if you're focusing on someone else or you're thinking about thanking somebody else for somebody, it's very difficult to focus on your own challenges at that same moment. And so gratitude is a very powerful thing. A chap by the name of Martin Seligman had came up with this concept of positive psychology. And he is really the guru of positive psychology. And he talks about gratitude in very strong terms, about it's a really measurable effect for somebody to actually be grateful for something. It has a measurable effect on your mental state. So take a moment. What are you grateful for? Is it the food on your table? Is it the friends around you? And it doesn't need to be massive, but if you do this on a daily basis and have a think and actually put some focus and time on it, you'll come across in a very, very different way. So I hope those as some techniques which I'm using on a daily basis are actually valuable for you as well. And what I'd like to do right now is I'm going to get Shailesh to join us back here on screen in just a short moment. There we go.
There you go. Fantastic. Love it, Greg. It was great tips, great strategies, and it really, really made my day. But can I add 3 tips, what you were saying to that, just on that note of strategies that you were telling the listeners and to everyone who are listening,
please.
Was brilliant to have your tips and strategies. It helped me as well, just doing those little things. We're waking up and going to gym. But I think the challenges that has got, for me, the tips for myself is same thing what you said, achieving smaller goals and then capitalizing on those little goals, even like, having 30 minutes of exercise or walking or whatever, going to that. But that challenge is always there. So I think for me, if I have to sum it up into 3 things or 4 things probably, my tips would be during this pandemic time and during this challenging time and any times, really speaking, not just this pandemic. Pandemic is just one of the things that came, but we are facing every single moment, no matter what situation we are in, we are facing challenges. And to me and to is one thing, quickly communicate. Communication is the key. Communicate yourself, communicate with others, communicate with everyone. And that's my one tip would be immediate thing that comes to my mind. And the second thing is change your tradition follow-ups. So you don't have to be in the mindset of tradition. Just change it and just see how good it is. You don't have to be in the fear that if I change it, I will lose something or I will miss something. You're not going to lose. You're not going to miss anything, because all that you have is memories. And memories, you have to create new memories. You can't just rely and depend on old memories. So I always say, change your tradition follow-ups. And then the third one is adaptation or adapting or flexibility to yourself and adapting yourself to all whatever comes in your way. As the universe is very kind for you, even you don't ask things and yet they give you. At that time, you don't complain when it is good and convenient for you. But when it is not good and convenient for you, then you complain. So I personally feel universe has been very kind for everyone, and for everyone there is something to do. For everyone there is something to excel. And I think this is where the power is, which in your multifaceted life that I have seen and I've known you, Greg, you have achieved so many multiple things and yet you keep going. But the good thing is that is because you are empowering yourself and you are adapting to the new things. We didn't know whether we had to go and online and live to do this kind of sessions, right? But we are doing it. And that's one of the good positive changes that we have come and embraced ourselves. We have. So adapting to whatever comes in your way is one of the third step that I would say. And always the last thing is I always say my principles were built on 3 things. My media also was built on 3 principles, and that also I implement into my real life. Is information, correct information, awareness of that information, and the internal and external support that we need. So I would say, ask for support for every time and any time. There is no harm, and there is no, like, you are not going to shock, you are not going to be like, what you say, making low or making cheap or making slow by saying or by asking support. You are not going to, put down yourself. You are actually uplifting yourself by asking support. People think if I ask support, I am putting down myself and your ego comes in. But I feel the other way around. When you ask something, when you ask support, actually you are uplifting yourself and you are uplifting others as well, because you are appreciating the other people. And so it's quite key thing for me. So yeah, communication, change your tradition, follow-ups, adaptation to the whatever comes, and then asking for support. And always ask, because if you don't ask, they also need support from you. You don't know. When you are asking, actually they are asking the same thing from you, but they are being shy.
I agree.
I've noticed that. I've noticed that.
Completely and utterly. I think one of the things is that we always think that we are unique. We always think that our problems are bigger than somebody else's problems, that everybody else has got it sorted. And the answer is no. Every single one of us is stumbling through the dark, just a moment away from falling. And by taking the next step. In fact, that's how we walk. Human beings are constantly falling forward. That's how we walk. And the only reason we don't fall over is because we remember to put a foot out in front of us to stop us from falling over. It's the weirdest thing in the world. If you look at the physics of a human being, we just tip ourselves over and then hopefully catch ourselves as we keep walking. That's how we go through life. And we tend to then think that everyone else they can walk perfectly well. They know exactly how to do this. But you're right that when we're looking for solutions, other people around us are looking for either similar solutions or a solution to a different challenge that they've got. Now, I just had a question come in from Baljit. Thank you very much indeed, Baljit. How can we stay motivated in an uncertain world? Now, it's a real poser, I have to say. Staying motivated in an uncertain world is really cool. I've got some ideas. Shailesh, what do you think?
Yeah, it's a good question, Baljit. Thank you very much for asking that. And it's really a real challenge, that how do you feel motivated? People ask me, how do I be positive when there is so much negative around it? How do I become more resilient when there is so much fake news and everything going around? How can I be positive? It's same thing. What she's asking is perfectly, how do I get motivated during these uncertain times, because there is so much challenges? But my answer again goes back to the same thing, and my view will be the same thing. Is like, always think that every single moment that matters now is a challenge, and the motivation for those moments is nobody else than other than you. If you want to go to a gym, you have to wake up and you have to go. So motivation for you is you. You don't look for motivation from somewhere else, because that's not going to happen. And even if it happens, it is their motivation for you to do, and they are empowered. But you have to empower yourself. They are empowering themselves. You have to empower yourself. So I personally feel motivation in uncertain times is only when you can empower yourself and you motivate yourself. If you want to do something, if you want to eat good food, you motivate yourself and you take your time and you go to a restaurant, right? So why can't you do something each time, each moment? Because I always say, these are your leftover moments or beginning moments. These are your moments. And you have to motivate your moments yourself. Nobody's going to give you ice cream.
That's so very, very true. And I'm going to reiterate what you've just said as well, because it really is about, it's got to come from yourself. But I'll also talk about this. It's sometimes really challenging for it to come from yourself, particularly when you may be suffering depression, where you may be finding it very difficult just to keep going, just to keep on going, each time. And the way that I have maintained a level of motivation, particularly in times where it's hard, is I ask myself some questions. And the first of those questions is, what is the best use of my time right now? It's a simple phrase, and I say it out loud. I actually say this to myself. What is the best use of my time right now? And what that has a tendency to do is to bring my challenges into a position where I can actually see them. So instead of having a scattergun approach or thinking that, you know, everything's too large. And the other one is, does this help me or does this hinder me? So is it a helpful thing or is it a negative thing? And by actually saying this out loud and thinking about it, you're able to make a decision and a judgment about what you're doing at that particular point in time from a motivation standpoint. How can we continue to grow, continue to move forward in challenging and uncertain times? And the other factor here is stick with the things that you are certain about. So if you have stability in a certain area, try and stay within that area and use it as a base, so that even in these times where things, you don't want a million things being uncertain. So if you've got something that's at least stable, you can start from a stable platform and then start making little inroads here, moving forward. Uncertainty is challenging, but on the flip side of it, uncertainty has got opportunity in it. That's when things are shaken up. That's when it is actually easier to make changes to your own circumstances and for other people in uncertain times, because the norms have changed. We don't, perfect example is I traveled back to the UK when I was in my early 20s. And when I arrived in the UK, I had an immigrant's mindset. I was going back to where I was originally from, but my thought process was completely different. And so as a consequence, there was no constraints on me in terms of what I could do. I started working for a company, and the first time I was approached about doing a particular job, and I said I was going to do it in a certain way. And they said, oh, you can't do that. It's always been done like this. And they were telling me, you know, this is how we work around here. This is the way we do things. But I was coming in with a different mindset. I was coming with a different attitude and ideas and looking at it from a completely different angle and going, that's so nowhere near good enough. It's going to take me longer. It's going to cost you more. But I've got a better idea and we'll do it like this. And because I wasn't of that culture, I'd had the culture bred out of me by being in New Zealand. I was able to look at things with a different set of eyes. And in uncertainty, your situation here allows you to look at it from a positive standpoint. So the idea is to spin it from a negative standpoint to a positive standpoint and see how well we can take advantage of these new opportunities that we find around ourselves.
Yeah, and I guess just to add on that, like just to motivate with Baljit was, I can further say that, you know, Saran, this is the good time when you are uncertain to take your own decisions about who do you want to be around you, who all you need around you, and what sort of elimination you can do around you, so that you are always focused on you and your positivity and your motivation, things that you want to do. So you surround the people around you with those people that you want to make things happen, so that you are never into that uncertain mode. You are always certain that I have someone to go to, I have someone to talk to, you know, and that is the most comfortable thing that you can do during uncertain times, is eliminate all the things that you don't want, that don't matter. Moments that matters is completely aligned to this motivation question of Baljit, that these moments are yours. You are the creator, you are the initiator, and you can surround the people around you for motivate yourself and you around you. So that's my further.
Well, that's actually a perfect opportunity for us to come to a close. We've been online for almost 75 minutes now, which is a significantly long time for a webinar. And hopefully what we've discussed here and what we've shared here will have had some impact for our audience to be able to actually look at the situation you're currently in, benchmark it and go, right, is this helpful? Is this a hindrance? Is this something that's positive or is it negative? What are the micro goals that I can achieve? Where am I? What's my next step? And in uncertainty comes opportunity to be able to have a stable base, but also to be able to move from there. Shailesh, I have to say thank you
So
very. Yes,
can I
please,
say the
fire away.
last word?
Yes, please.
Can I have the last word?
You may.
The last word that I can say is like, take all the good things that are around you. You look around you, all the scientists, all the researchers, all the people that are working during these uncertain times, there is one statement I can say straight away is do not give up on anything. That will be my last word, because all these people that we are around us are working to make us safe, the nation and everyone. That means they are not giving up. So you don't give up. That's my last word, could be. And that shows is like a kindness is attached to it, because once you are kind to yourself, you will never give up. If you're not kind to yourself, you will give up. Simple as that.
100%. I cannot do anything but agree with that statement. You have to stop for a moment and actually look at yourself and go, hey, and as emotional as this is, I had to go through this process of actually getting to like me. And it took me a long time. It was a lot of different circumstances that happened through my life. But what I found really valuable, very challenging, but very valuable, was actually using a mirror and looking at myself in a mirror and saying the words, I love you, to myself in the mirror. And that's a challenge that I'm going to ask all of our audience to actually do this.
That's very good.
It's and actually mean it, to stand there, because it's very easy to do the negative self-talk, and we talk to ourselves all the time in a very negative way. But to sit there looking at yourself deep in your own eyes and saying, I love you, to the person who you should love the most. That's you. It all starts there. That's a real challenge. I'm going to keep you online for 2 seconds here, because Baljit has just posed a statement/question, which is this. So someone being a migrant who goes about making a better life with thinking about applying for benefits that the state offers, they are in the majority great assets to make New Zealand grow. And I completely and 100% agree with this. Migrants make the country. We are all immigrants. Every single one of us in this country, New Zealand, came from somewhere else. We arrived here. And, as a consequence, the power that we have as migrants is phenomenal. So what's your thought about as migrants applying for state benefits? What's the best thing?
See, this is where I was saying to you when I came here. It's the people not even don't know that our nation is a state welfare country, or a state welfare nation. And people who come from democratic capitalist or communist or whatever country, and they don't have this state welfare situation, they are not aware of it, and they feel like their ego comes in and they don't want to apply, or they feel shy to apply, and they feel that it is a disgrace to apply, or they feel guilty about applying. All of these negatives that comes in their minds. And I think, as you rightly said, we all are migrants. The person who is there in the state office is also a migrant. The person who gives benefit is also a migrant. And people should never forget that they are there for a reason. They are not there for just giving food or giving this on the street. No, it's not. They are there to empower everyone to give a better start of their life, or in between, if there are hurdles are there. When there is a rain, your whole house washes up. What's going to happen if your a thunderstorm takes your house? You can't build on your own. So you need support, you need help. And that's where these states welfare services are there. So don't ever feel guilty or shy. In fact, I would go one step ahead. Take the kickstart, do better, and actually empower others and help others with your business, with your development. And then you see the development. And I think if I'm correct in saying that most of our good people who have made difference to our nation, including prime ministers and ex-prime ministers, were also a part of the state housing services that they took as a child. So there is nothing wrong in it. There is nothing bad in it. In fact, they are looking at doing better ways of doing things and how they can help better so that people don't get missed out. People who are underprivileged. And during this uncertain time, there are a lot of people who are, as you said, vulnerable. People are vulnerable and they don't think. They don't know what to do. They don't know where to go. That's where these services are there for you to help and for you to get the clarity. So always seek for support. As I always say, that's my tip, was to support, take help. Don't worry. State services is the best thing that this country has got, and acknowledge it, appreciate it, and make it the most of it, of those services. Don't rely on it, don't depend on it, but I would say take the kickstart from it and actually make a better for others and for yourself. Because you grow, you will make grow other people.
100%. 100%. And that's a beautiful note for us to conclude our session. Shailesh, thank you very, very much indeed for joining us here. Thanks for the wonderful opportunity that you engendered as well with the Waitakere Ethnic Board and Aotearoa Academy, and yourself and myself, and of course, which will be extending out to the speakers who will be joining us here on stage in the coming days. So thank you once again. Really appreciate your time. It's been a pleasure talking with you. Thanks, Shailesh.
Yeah, thank you so much, Greg, for this wonderful series that you have kick-started it. And yes, it was a good idea coming from our Aotearoa Academium, from myself when I spoke to you and then spoke to Baljit. And Baljit is I would really, really appreciate her absolute support that she has given to kickstart this series. And realizing how important it is during this time, realizing the facts and reality. So these are real experiences we are talking, and I'm sure you will be asking a lot of other speakers, guest speakers coming along and sharing their life experiences, which will be a great thing for many people who are watching. But once again, I really humbly appreciate your effort to make it happen, and Baljit to make this happen. So thank you very much for Waitakere Ethnic Board. And you being a Waitakere, ex-Waitakere, it's really good to see that putting together everything. So now I appreciate, and I also thank all my Aotearoa Academy trustees who also supported me in initiating this. And so it was great for me to just do it. So thanks once again, Greg. And I look forward for your future series, myself as a spectator and asking questions.
Yes, please. I'd love that. It'd be absolutely brilliant.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Shailesh. We'll catch you very soon indeed. Cheers.
Yeah, thanks very much.
So there we go, our inaugural presentation here, Moments That Matter, coming to you live via the Waitakere Ethnic Board. Massive thank you to Foundation North for providing some funding to ensure that we can actually put this together. The Aotearoa Academy for the connection point right at the start, and of course the great work that they do. It's been my pleasure joining you here. Thanks once again to Shailesh Bagwe. And we will be catching you at 10 a.m. next Wednesday. Our next speaker is Filippo Levi. He is a former captain of Manu Samoa. He is a phenomenal mindset coach. He is a sports person and has a great amount of international experience as well. Cannot wait to have him join us here for the session next week. My name is Greg Ward, and this has been Moments That Matter with the Waitakere Ethnic Board. Cheers. We'll see you next Wednesday at 10 a.m.